The phone rang at 2:47 a.m. on September 14th. I know the exact time because I grabbed my phone off the nightstand and stared at the screen in complete disbelief. The caller ID said Ashley Hayes, my daughter's name, the same daughter I buried 25 years ago. My name is Bradley Hayes. I'm 67 years old, a retired construction engineer living alone in a 2-story colonial house in suburban Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I've been by myself for most of my adult life, raising Ashley single-handedly after my ex-wife Karen left us when Ashley was just 7. That little girl became my entire world. And on November 3rd, 1998, when she was 20 years old and halfway through her junior year at Penn State studying elementary education, a drunk driver in a stolen pickup truck took her away from me forever. Or so I thought. I buried Ashley at Riverside Cemetery under a massive oak tree that she used to climb as a kid. The headstone reads Ashley May Hayes, beloved daughter, 1978-1998, forever in our hearts. For 25 years, every single Sunday without fail, I've driven my old Ford pickup the 12 miles to that cemetery with fresh flowers. Daisies, her favorite since she was 5 years old. I'd sit on the little folding chair I keep in my truck bed and tell her about my week, about the kitchen renovation I was working on before I retired, about Mrs. Patterson next door and her annoying rooster, about how much I missed hearing her laugh echo through our empty house. People said I needed to move on. Karen remarried within 3 years and had twin boys with her new husband. She sent me a Christmas card once showing her new family all smiles and matching sweaters. I threw it away without reading the note inside. How do you move on from losing your only child? How do you just forget 20 years of goodnight kisses and bedtime stories and scraped knees and report cards taped to the refrigerator? I kept Ashley's room exactly the way she left it. Her Penn State pennant still hangs above her desk. Her stuffed elephant, Mr. Peanuts, sits on her pillow like she just went to brush her teeth. Her textbooks are still scattered across her desk where she left them during Thanksgiving break, planning to study for finals that she'd never take. I also kept her phone number in my contacts all these years. Sprint disconnected the line in March 1999, about 4 months after the accident, but I couldn't bring myself to delete it from my phone. I even kept paying a monthly fee to maintain it as a memorial line until they told me that wasn't how it worked. Sometimes, usually late at night when the loneliness got too heavy, I'd scroll through my phone just to see her name there, Ashley Hayes. It made me feel like she was still somehow reachable, like maybe if I called at just the right moment, she might answer. But that night in September, her number was calling me. I sat frozen in bed, watching the phone ring against the backdrop of my dark bedroom. The blue light from the screen lit up the framed photo of Ashley on my nightstand. Her high school graduation picture, cap tilted at that cocky angle she always wore it. 4 rings, 5 rings. My heart hammered in my chest so hard I could feel it in my neck. This had to be some kind of mistake. Phone companies reuse old numbers after a while, right? Some stranger probably got Ashley's old number and was calling me by accident at 3 in the morning. But why would a wrong number show up as Ashley Hayes in my contacts? That was her name, not her number, that appeared on the screen. On the 6th ring, I pressed the green button. Hello? My voice came out as barely a whisper, like I was afraid speaking too loud might scare away whatever impossible thing was happening. Nothing. Just dead air for maybe 10 seconds, though it felt like an hour. Then I heard breathing, slow, confused breathing. The kind of breathing you hear when someone's trying to figure out where they are. Dad? The voice was soft, uncertain female, and familiar in a way that made my chest feel like it was caving in. My throat closed up completely. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. Not a sound. Dad? Is that you? It's me. It's Ashley. I dropped the phone. Actually dropped it right on my bedroom floor next to my slippers. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely pick it up again. When I finally got it back to my ear, my hands were sweating so much I nearly dropped it again. Ashley, I managed to croak out, Dad, I'm so confused. I don't understand what's happening to me. I woke up and everything is different. I look different. I feel different. The person in the mirror looks like me but older. So much older. But I remember the accident. I remember that truck hitting my car. I remember dying. How am I talking to you right now? I stood up on shaking legs and turned on every light in my bedroom. The sudden brightness made me squint, but I needed to think clearly. My brain felt like it was short-circuiting, trying to process something that couldn't be processed. Where are you? I asked, surprised my voice was working at all. I don't know exactly. I'm in some apartment. It's not mine, but there are pictures of us on the walls. Pictures of our family. I found an address written on a piece of paper by the phone. 4247 Riverside Avenue, apartment 12, Moorfield, West Virginia. Dad, I'm really scared. I don't understand what's happening. Can you come get me, please? I grabbed the pen I keep on my nightstand and wrote down the address on my hand since I couldn't find paper fast enough. My handwriting looked like a child's, all shaky and uneven. "I'm coming," I said, my voice getting stronger. "Stay right where you are, don't go anywhere. I'll be there as fast as I can drive. Thank you, Daddy. I knew you'd come for me. You always come for me." The line went dead. I tried calling back immediately. My finger stabbed at Ashley's contact name before the call had even fully ended. The recording played in that robotic female voice. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Please check the number and dial again." I tried again. Same message, then again and again. 15 times total, each attempt more desperate than the last. My call log showed the truth, though there it was, clear as day. Ashley Hayes, 2:47 a.m., 8 minutes and 23 seconds. The longest conversation I'd had with my daughter in 25 years. I sat on the edge of my bed staring at my phone for another 20 minutes, willing it to ring again. The house felt eerily quiet around me. Outside, I could hear Mrs. Patterson's rooster starting his pre-dawn routine. Inside, the old heating system clicked and hummed like it always did. Everything was normal, except nothing was normal. My daughter had been dead for 25 years. I saw her body at the hospital. I touched her cold hand. I watched them lower her coffin into the ground and listened to the mechanical whir of the equipment as they filled in the grave afterward. But she had just called me, scared and confused, asking me to come get her. I threw on jeans and my old Penn State sweatshirt, the one Ashley bought me for Father's Day in 1997. I grabbed my truck keys and wallet, threw some clothes in my overnight bag, and headed for West Virginia. It was 3:30 a.m. when I backed out of my driveway, and I knew I had about 8 hours of driving ahead of me. The interstate was nearly empty at that hour, just long-haul truckers and the occasional night shift worker heading home. I drove with my windows down despite the September chill, needing the cold air to keep me alert. My mind raced through every possible explanation. Maybe Ashley had survived the accident somehow and lost her memory. Maybe she'd been living as someone else all these years. Maybe the body I identified at the hospital wasn't actually her, but even as I thought it, I knew how impossible it sounded. The police had found her driver's license at the scene, her car registration, her purse with her college ID, and I had identified her body. Her face was bruised and swollen from the impact. But it was definitely Ashley. I knew every freckle on that face. I stopped twice for gas and coffee, each time checking my phone to see if she'd called again. Nothing. By the time I crossed into West Virginia, the sun was coming up, casting everything in that golden early morning light that Ashley used to love. She always said sunrise reminded her of hope. Moorfield turned out to be a small industrial town, the kind of place that probably thrived back when coal was king, but now felt like it was just hanging on. Rusted water towers, abandoned storefronts, and a main street that looked like it hadn't seen fresh paint in a decade. The GPS led me through a residential area of modest homes with small yards and chain-link fences. 46247 Riverside Avenue was a 3-story brick apartment building that had seen better days. The kind of place where working-class families lived when they couldn't afford anything better. Paint peeled from the window frames, and several of the mailboxes by the front door hung at odd angles. A sign by the entrance read Riverside Apartments, monthly and weekly rates available. I found apartment 12 on the second floor. The hallway smelled like cigarettes and old carpet. Cooking odors drifted from behind closed doors, bacon, coffee, something fried. Normal people starting their normal days while I was chasing an impossible phone call. The door to apartment 12 was slightly open, just a crack. I could hear movement inside, someone walking around. My heart started pounding again as I raised my hand to knock. "Ashley," I called out softly. "Dad, is that really you?" "Come in, the door's open." I pushed the door open slowly and stepped into a small living room. It was modestly furnished, a brown couch, a coffee table, a small TV on a wooden stand, clean but worn like everything else in this building. And then I saw her. A woman sat on the couch facing away from me. When she turned around, I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach and stolen all the air from my lungs. She looked like Ashley. Not exactly like the 20-year-old I'd lost, but like what Ashley might look like now at 45. Same green eyes that reminded me of sea glass. Same dimpled smile that had melted my heart since she was 2 years old. Same way of tucking her auburn hair behind her left ear when she was nervous or uncertain. The resemblance was so strong it made my knees weak. "Dad, I know this is impossible," she said, standing up slowly. "I know I died. I remember everything about that night. But I'm here. I don't understand it either, but I'm here." I wanted to run to her. Every paternal instinct I had screamed at me to wrap her in my arms and never let go, but something held me back. Maybe it was the engineer in me. 40 years of solving problems had taught me that when something seems impossible, it usually is. "Tell me something only Ashley would know." I said quietly. She smiled, and for a moment the expression was so perfectly Ashley that my chest ached. When I was 12, I was practicing soccer kicks in the living room and I broke Mom's china vase. The blue and white one her grandmother gave her. We told her it fell off the shelf during that little earthquake, remember? There wasn't really an earthquake that day, but she believed us because she was so worried about you being at the construction site during the tremors. My legs almost gave out. That story, we'd never told anyone else about that. It was our little secret, our shared lie to protect both of us from Karen's anger. And when I was 16, she continued, I came home 2 hours past curfew from Jenny Morrison's party. You were waiting up in your recliner, and I thought you were going to ground me until I was 30. Instead, you asked if I was okay and made me hot chocolate. You said you'd rather have me safe and late than sorry and on time. I had to sit down on the arm of the couch. Every detail was perfect. Every memory was exactly right. Over the next 3 hours, we talked about everything. She made coffee exactly the way Ashley used to, -2 sugars, no cream, stirred counterclockwise because she said it mixed better that way. She laughed at my same stupid dad jokes that had made Ashley groan and giggle since she was little. She even had the same tiny scar on her chin from falling off her bike when she was 8, trying to ride no-handed to impress the Thompson boy next door. How did you survive the accident? I finally asked, the question I'd been afraid to voice. I identified your body at the hospital. Her face went sad, the way Ashley's always did when she had to deliver bad news. I don't know, Dad, I've been trying to piece it together for weeks. I remember everything up until the truck hit my car. I remember the sound of the impact, the feeling of everything spinning. I remember pain, then darkness, then nothing. The next thing I knew, I woke up 3 weeks ago in this apartment with ID saying my name was Rachel Wilson. She walked over to a small desk by the window and picked up a driver's license. Look at this. According to these documents, I've been living here for 8 years. I have a job at Consolidated Insurance downtown. I have rental agreements, utility bills, even a credit history. But I don't remember any of it. It's like someone else has been living my life while I was somewhere else. I took the license and studied it. The photo showed the woman in front of me, but with shorter hair and a more confident expression. Rachel Marie Wilson, DOB, April 15, 1978. The same birthday as Ashley, just different year to match the age difference. The strangest part, she continued, sitting back down next to me on the couch, is that I started having dreams about 3 weeks ago. Dreams about you, about our house, about my childhood. They felt more real than this life I supposedly lived as Rachel. And gradually I started remembering who I really was. Your phone number was the only thing I could remember clearly from before. I spent that night in Moorfield getting a room at the Red Roof Inn on the edge of town, but I couldn't sleep. I lay in that lumpy motel bed staring at the water-stained ceiling, trying to make sense of what I'd experienced. Every logical part of my brain said this was impossible. People don't just come back from the dead after 25 years. But I'd seen the scar. I'd heard the stories only Ashley could know. I'd watched her make coffee exactly the way my daughter used to. The next morning, I met her again at the apartment. She'd made breakfast, scrambled eggs with cheese, the way Ashley always liked them, but as we ate, tiny things started bothering me. Little inconsistencies that nibbled at the edges of my growing hope. Do you remember Mr. Peanuts? I asked casually. She looked confused. Who, your stuffed elephant? You had him since you were 3. Oh, right, she said quickly. Of course, my stuffed animal. I love that thing. But Ashley would have corrected me, Mr. Peanuts wasn't an elephant. He was a gray hippo that she'd named ironically because he was afraid of mice in the story she made up. Any real memory of him would have included that detail. What about your middle name? I asked. Marie, she said without hesitation. My heart sank. Ashley's middle name was May, after my grandmother. It was on her birth certificate, her school records, everything. I excused myself to go to the bathroom and called Dr. Jennifer Garcia from my old company's health plan. Jennifer had been the neurologist for several workers who'd suffered head injuries on construction sites. If anyone would understand memory loss and identity confusion, it would be her. Dr. Garcia, this is Bradley Hayes. I need some advice about someone with possible memory issues, Bradley. How are you? What kind of memory issues are we talking about? I couldn't tell her the whole truth. It sounded too crazy even to me. Someone I know claims to have recovered memories from 25 years ago after a period of amnesia. How reliable would those memories be? That's unusual, she said. Retrograde amnesia typically affects recent memories more than distant ones. If someone lost 25 years of memory and then suddenly recovered childhood memories while forgetting recent years, that would be highly irregular. Are you dealing with a potential fraud situation, Bradley? Her question hit me like a slap fraud. What would you look for if you suspected someone was pretending to have memory issues? Well, they'd need detailed personal information about the person they're impersonating. They'd need to look reasonably similar, and they'd create a believable story to explain inconsistencies. Memory loss is convenient. It explains why they might not remember certain details correctly. After I hung up, I sat on the motel toilet seat with my head in my hands. Dr. Garcia had just described exactly what I was experiencing. That afternoon, I told Ashley I was going to grab some groceries. Instead, I drove to the Moorfield Public Library and used their computer to research Rachel Wilson. What I found made my blood run cold. Rachel Wilson had worked for Consolidated Insurance for 8 years, just like she'd said. But Consolidated Insurance was the same company that had handled Ashley's life insurance policy after her death. The company that had my detailed personal information, family photos I'd submitted with the claim, and extensive records about Ashley's life and death. I dug deeper, printing out everything I could find. Rachel Wilson's employment records, her apartment lease, even her social media profiles dating back years. This wasn't some identity created 3 weeks ago. She'd been building this life for nearly a decade. At a gas station on the way back to the motel, I called my old friend Kevin Foster, who'd worked in insurance investigation before he retired. Kevin, hypothetically, if someone worked for an insurance company and wanted to target grieving families, how would they do it? That's a hell of a hypothetical question, Brad. But they'd have access to detailed claim files, family information, personal details, photos, everything needed to create a convincing con. We've seen cases where employees used client information for identity theft. Why are you asking? I didn't answer directly. If you were investigating something like that, what evidence would you need? Documentation of the fraud, recordings of conversations, proof of deception, and witnesses. You'd need someone credible to verify what happened. That evening, I met Ashley for dinner at a small diner in town. I started asking more specific questions about her childhood, watching carefully for the tells Dr. Garcia had mentioned. "Remember when Mom left us?" I asked. "You cried for 3 days straight." She nodded sadly. "I was so young, it was devastating." "You were 7, I said. "Do you remember what you said to me on the 3rd night?" She hesitated. The memory issues make some things fuzzy. "You said, 'Daddy, did I make Mommy go away?' It broke my heart." "Yes," she said quickly. "I remember now. I thought it was my fault." But Ashley had never said that. On the 3rd night after Karen left, Ashley had come to my room and said, "Daddy, I'm glad it's just us now." Mommy was always angry. She was relieved, not devastated. I was starting to understand that I wasn't talking to my daughter. I was talking to someone who had studied my daughter's life and was using my grief against me. The next morning, I called Dr. Garcia and asked her to meet me in Moorfield. I told her I needed a professional witness for what I was starting to suspect was an elaborate fraud. She agreed to drive down that afternoon. While I waited for Dr. Garcia to arrive, I did something that felt like betrayal, but I knew was necessary. I started recording my conversations with Ashley on my phone. I needed evidence of the inconsistencies, proof that whoever this woman was, she wasn't my daughter. Dr. Garcia met me at the motel at 2 p.m. She was a small woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. I'd worked with her on several workers' compensation cases over the years and trusted her judgment completely. "Bradley, you sounded very concerned on the phone. What exactly are we dealing with here?" I told her everything about the phone call, meeting the woman claiming to be Ashley, all the details that matched and the ones that didn't. Dr. Garcia listened without interrupting, taking notes in a small notebook. "I want you to meet her," I said. "Ask her some questions. See if your professional opinion matches my suspicions." We arranged to meet Ashley at her apartment at 4 p.m. I introduced Dr. Garcia as an old friend who was visiting the area on business. "Ashley, this is Dr. Garcia. She's a neurologist I worked with when I was still in construction." Dr. Garcia shook hands with the woman and smiled warmly. "Nice to meet you. Your father tells me you've had some memory issues since an accident years ago." "Yes," Ashley replied. "It's been very confusing. I lost so many years, but lately I've been remembering my childhood more clearly." "That's interesting, Dr. Garcia said casually. "May I ask, what's your father's middle name?" "William," Ashley said confidently. "Bradley William Hayes." My heart sank. "My middle name is Charles." Ashley had known that since she was old enough to read my driver's license. Dr. Garcia continued with gentle questions. "What year did I retire? What was my ex-wife's maiden name? What kind of car did I drive when Ashley was little?" Every single answer was wrong. Not close, completely wrong. After Dr. Garcia left, I confronted Ashley directly about the discrepancies. "My middle name is Charles, not William. And Karen's maiden name is Thompson, not Johnson." For just a second, I saw something cold and calculating flash in her eyes. Then she quickly recovered, her expression becoming confused and apologetic. "I'm sorry, Dad. The memory issues, sometimes I get things mixed up. It's been so confusing living as someone else for so long. but I'd seen enough. I knew this woman wasn't my daughter. That evening, I called Detective Nathan Williams with the Moorfield Police Department. I'd gotten his name from the front desk at the police station when I'd called asking about fraud investigation. Detective Williams, my name is Bradley Hayes. I believe I'm being targeted for an elaborate fraud and I have evidence. What kind of fraud, Mr. Hayes? I explained the situation, the impossible phone call, the woman claiming to be my dead daughter, her job at the insurance company that had handled Ashley's claim. Detective Williams listened carefully. Mr. Hayes, we've been investigating similar cases in the region. Can you come to the station tomorrow morning? Bring any evidence you have. The next day, I showed Detective Williams everything. The recordings of our conversations where Ashley got basic facts wrong. The research I'd done on Rachel Wilson's employment history, the insurance company connection, Mr. Hayes, Detective Williams said, we've been trying to catch Rachel Wilson for 2 years. She's part of a sophisticated fraud ring that targets elderly people who've lost family members. They research victims through insurance files and create elaborate reunion scams to steal assets. He showed me a file with photos and documents. She's done this at least 4 times in different states. Always the same pattern: research a grieving parent, create a miraculous survival story, gain trust. Then gradually ask for money. Money? I said. She hasn't asked me for any money. She will. Usually it starts with medical bills or legal fees to help reclaim their identity. Small amounts at first, then larger sums. One victim in Ohio lost $100,000 before he realized what was happening. Detective Williams leaned forward. We need your help to catch her in the act. Would you be willing to wear a wire and offer her money? Once she accepts, we can arrest her for fraud. The plan was simple. I would tell Ashley that I wanted to transfer $50,000 to help her with legal fees to officially reclaim her identity and social security number. If she accepted, it would be evidence of intent to commit fraud. 2 days later, I met Ashley at the First National Bank of Moorfield. I wore a small recording device taped to my chest under my shirt. Detective Williams and 2 other officers waited in unmarked cars in the parking lot. Ashley, I've been thinking about your situation, I said as we sat in the bank lobby. I want to help you get your life back officially. I'd like to transfer $50,000 to cover any legal fees or medical costs you might have. Her eyes lit up with genuine excitement. Dad, that would solve so many problems. I've been so worried about the legal costs of proving who I really am. She introduced the man with her as Kevin Foster, a lawyer who was helping with her case. Foster had documents ready for me to sign, transfer papers that would move money from my savings account to an account he controlled. Mr. Hayes, Foster said, this money will go directly to legal fees and administrative costs. Your daughter's case is complicated, but with proper funding, we can resolve everything within a few weeks. The moment I signed the papers, Detective Williams and his team moved in. Rachel Wilson, Kevin Foster, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft, and theft by deception. The look of pure rage on Rachel's face when the handcuffs went on told me everything I needed to know. That expression of hatred and fury, Ashley had never looked at anyone like that, not even when she was furious with me as a teenager. The trial took place 6 months later. I testified about the phone calls, the meetings, all the evidence we'd gathered. The prosecutor showed the jury Rachel's employment records at Consolidated Insurance, her access to my family's personal information, and evidence of at least 6 other similar frauds across multiple states. Rachel Wilson was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Kevin Foster received 6 years for his role in the conspiracy. At the sentencing, the judge said their crimes were particularly heinous because they preyed on people's deepest emotional wounds. Standing outside the courthouse after the sentencing, I felt something I hadn't experienced in 25 years: our trait, closure. Not the closure of getting Ashley back, but the closure of protecting her memory from people who wanted to profit from my pain. I drove straight from the courthouse to Riverside Cemetery. I sat by Ashley's grave and told her everything that had happened. I'm sorry, sweetheart, I said out loud. For a few weeks there, I let myself believe you were coming back to me, but you're at peace where you are, and I need to be at peace with that too. I still visit Ashley's grave every Sunday. I still miss her every day. But now I also volunteer at the senior center in Harrisburg, helping other older folks recognize and avoid the kinds of scams that almost got me. Because grief makes you vulnerable in ways you don't expect. When someone offers you exactly what you want most in the world, that's when you need to be most careful. Love doesn't make you stupid, but desperation can. And there are people who make a living off desperation. My daughter is gone. She's been gone for 25 years. But her memory belongs to me, not to criminals who want to turn my love for her into their profit. And that memory is safe now, exactly where it should be. Because here's what 25 years of grief taught me. The people who truly love you don't come back from the dead asking for money. They live on in the memories you protect and the wisdom you share to keep others safe. My daughter's greatest gift to me wasn't the years we had together. It was teaching me that real love means protecting her memory from those who would exploit it, and using that lesson to shield other fathers from the same heartbreak.